On June 17, 2019, multiple law enforcement agencies boarded the massive container ship MSC Guyane at the Philadelphia port. If this was only a routine inspection, we wouldn't be here today. Instead, what was concealed inside 7 separate containers would shock federal agents. An unbelievable 20 tons of cocaine was on that vessel.
Supersized seizure. Tons of cocaine crammed into containers on a cargo ship.
15,000 kilos, that's a lot.
Tonight, the history-making haul and how it all came to be in our backyard.
Paperwork says a crew and a drug ring used floating nets off the coast of Peru. Now take a look at those containers. That crew filled 7 of them with $1 billion worth of cocaine.
The MSC Guyane is a massive floating warehouse the size of 3 football fields, designed to keep the global economy moving. On a typical run, it carries the stuff you buy every day: wine, nuts, fruits, and vegetables. But in early 2019, while the Guyane was making its way through South America, it was carrying a $1 billion secret that was about to make history for all the wrong reasons. The operation was a movie plot style conspiracy involving the Balkan cartel, which had successfully infiltrated the ship's own crew. The recruitment started on land, specifically in Montenegro. One sailor, an electrician named Alexander Kavaja, was approached outside a cafe by alleged members of the Balkan cartel. Balkan cartel is a network of multi-ethnic criminal organizations from southeastern Europe, primarily Montenegro, Serbia, and Albania, which has emerged as the dominant force in the global cocaine trade. They use strategic infiltration of maritime logistics. Unlike traditional cartels that rely on territorial control, this network specializes in recruiting and placing, quote, inside men, unquote, among the crews of massive commercial container ships to coordinate these drug smuggling runs. The cartel knew exactly which ship Alexander was about to board. They handed them what they called a narco phone, which is basically just a burner phone, and promised him $50,000 if he followed orders, an offer backed by an unspoken but very real threat. Kavaja wasn't alone. Top-ranking officers like Second Mate Ivan Durasevich, the ship's third in command, were also on it. Because Durasevich was in charge of the cargo and deck crew, the smugglers had the perfect inside man with access to everything they needed to pull this off. As the Guyane made its voyage, it stopped at 14 different ports. The vessel stopped at various ports throughout South America, Central America, and the Caribbean. After its stops in the United States, the vessel was scheduled to sail to Rotterdam, Netherlands. The FBI originally thought the transfer was happening at the docks. Later, they would learn that it was happening on the high seas.
A massive haul of coke seized at the Packer Avenue Marine Terminal Port in South Philadelphia. Sources say overseas intel tipped the feds off to 16.5 tons of the drug on the MSC Guyane, making for the largest drug bust in the region's history.
Certainly lives will be saved as a result of the seizure.
Gary Tuggle is the former head of the DEA in Philadelphia, who is seeing a resurgence of cocaine.
Cocaine is making a comeback, Denise. We're seeing a dangerous combination of lower cocaine prices, significantly more demand, and now more supply.
2 crew members are charged with drug trafficking. According to a complaint filed by the U.S. Attorney's Office, the men traveling in a cargo ship from Chile picked up bales of cocaine from nets off the coast of Peru and then took in shipments of cocaine while out to sea from 14 boats on the way to Panama and the Bahamas before stopping in South Philly.
It really shows you the vulnerability of our ports.
Officials with Customs and Border Patrol, Homeland Security, the DEA, and state and local police worked to secure the more than $1 billion in cocaine found in 7 shipping containers. Truckers like Don Schad saw a significant slowdown at the port.
Once they start doing their investigation, usually they don't let us in certain sections.
Inconvenience, a small price to pay to witness a major bust that dwarfs March's cocaine bust at the port 30-fold.
Under the cover of total darkness, high-speed boats would rendezvous with the massive container ship. The crew used the ship's own crane to hoist giant cargo nets of coke, which was in duffel bags, onto the deck. The loading was chaotic and haphazard. In addition to damaging the ship's railing while unloading the cocaine, crew members used sheer force to pull back containers' doors, basically breaking them open, shoving the bags of cocaine inside, along legitimate cargo. They even used fake seals and they repainted damaged areas to try to make the containers look untouched. Law enforcement eventually realized that while they had been watching the ports, the real work was happening at sea. Any losses that happened out at sea, the cartel accounted for as a standard cost of business. The ship eventually reached the Bahamas and headed for Philadelphia, which is one of the most important ports for fresh fruits in the United States. Federal agents were already waiting. On June 17, 2019, as the Guyane approached the Delaware Bay, a massive SWAT team conducted what they call an enforcement boarding. While on the ship, they interviewed the crew and they swabbed their hands for cocaine residue. Once docked at the Packer Marine Terminal, the entire port was effectively halted. Law enforcement had been tracking these shipments using confidential informants and data patterns, but the sheer scale of what they found blew them away. The search was obviously an all-hands-on-deck effort using dogs, special cameras, and a lot of different equipment. It took cops 4 hours just to find the first stash of cocaine. After a day, eventually a detective made the call to remove the top of every single container on the ship. Inside, they found nearly 20 tons of cocaine, roughly 15,000 to 18,000 bricks, with a street value of an estimated $1.3 billion, and that's billion with a B. Police logged and documented everything, but the volume was so massive it took days to get everything accounted for, and authorities ultimately had to destroy a lot of the coke. The crew initially was held on the ship, and the vessel itself was detained for 2 weeks, causing a logistics crisis at that time for global trade. In the fallout, MSC, the owner of the cargo ship, claimed they were the victims of the trafficking scheme. The government, however, pointed out cut wires and other signs of negligence as proof that the company should have known drugs were being loaded at sea. MSC eventually had to bail out the boat for $50 million, $10 million in cash, and a $40 million surety. The sentences handed down were significant. Ivan Durasevich received 78 months, while others like Bosko Markovic and Nenad Ilic, and I probably butchered these names, received 84 months each. Alexander Kavaja and several others were sentenced to 60 months each. The story took an even weirder turn during the trial of the alleged coordinator, former heavyweight boxer Goran Gogic. In November 2025, 3 people, including Gogic's cousins, were charged in a plot to bribe a juror of $100,000 to secure an acquittal. In December 2025, those 2 individuals were officially indicted for the bribery scheme.
3 men were arrested for attempting to bribe a juror with $100,000 in the Brooklyn trial of former heavyweight boxer Goran Gogic, prompting a federal judge to dismiss the jury. Gogic faces charges of smuggling over 18 tons of cocaine to Europe via U.S. ports. The bribery plot, captured in recorded conversations, involved multiple meetings with the juror. The trial will resume with an anonymous jury after a 30-day break, the Associated Press has reported. If convicted, Gogic could face 10 years to life in prison. Authorities describe his operations as among the largest cocaine smuggling schemes in U.S. history.
Today, the legal battle continues as MSC faces up to $700 million in penalties. While the initial affidavits are sealed, much of the case has been unsealed during the sentencing, though aspects of the ongoing civil litigation between MSC and the government remain outside public view as of early 2026. Just some housekeeping real quick. The big indictment videos are the next 3 up: South Philly Part 2, the Warren Northeast, and of course the CCK-YBC John. I know I've been talking about it a lot. It's been taking a lot longer than expected to finish those videos. So content like this helps to bridge the gap between those release dates. I got you. I promise I'm working hard. I'm gonna leave it there for now. Thanks for watching American Confidential, and until next time, be safe.